Alvin Clarence Thomas was an American gambler, golfer, and hustler who killed 5 men but was never charged with a crime. He was better known as Titanic Thompson. Thomas was born in Monette, Missouri, but was raised mainly on a farm 50 miles to the south, near Rogers, Arkansas, in the Ozark Mountains. His mother remarried following desertion by Thomas's father, who was himself a gambler. Thomas began conducting his nomadic, lucrative career of hustling in the rural south-central United States circa 1908, leaving home at age 16 with less than $1 in his pocket. As a young boy, Thomas was known for his precise shooting. These skills would land him work with Captain Adam Henry Bogardus in his Miracle Medicine show. During the show, Thomas would entertain onlookers by shooting pie tins, cabbages, and by tricking viewers into thinking he shot a silver dollar out of the air. In 1951, many years after his Miracle Medicine show days, Thomas showed off his still sharp shooting skills by winning the Arizona State Trap Shooting Championship 4 years in a row from 1951-1954. Later, when Thompson had honed his skills, he became a road gambler, a traveling hustler who became an underground legend by winning at all manner of propositions, many of them tricky if not outright fraudulent. Among his favorites were betting he could throw a walnut over a building. He had weighted the hollowed shell with lead beforehand. Throwing a large room key into its lock and moving a road mileage sign before betting that the listed distance to the town was in error. Thompson once bet that he could drive a golf ball 500 yards using a hickory-shafted club at a time when an expert player's drive was just over 200 yards. He won by waiting until winter and driving the ball onto a frozen lake, where it bounced past the required distance on the ice. Gifted with extraordinary eyesight and hand-eye coordination, he was a skilled athlete, crack shot, and a golfer good enough to turn professional. In an era when the top pro golfers would be fortunate to make $30,000 a year, Thompson could make that much in a week hustling rich country club players. Asked whether he would ever turn professional, he replied, "I could not afford the cut and pay." Hall of Fame golfer Ben Hogan, who traveled with him in the early 1930s for money games, later called Titanic the best shot maker he ever saw. "He can play right or left-handed. You can't beat him," said Hogan. One hustle of his was to beat a golfer playing right-handed and then offer double or nothing to play the course again left-handed as an apparent concession. One thing his opponent usually did not know was that Thomas was naturally left-handed. Thompson killed 5 men. The first was in 1910 in rural Arkansas, when a man named Jim Johnson accused him of cheating at dice and threw him off the boat on which they were traveling. When Thompson climbed back on board, Johnson drew a knife and threatened Thompson's girlfriend, who was also on board. Thompson seized a hammer and struck Johnson several times on the head before throwing him overboard. The unconscious Johnson drowned. Thompson showed no remorse, stating it was Johnson's fault for not being able to swim. The other 4 men Thompson killed were shot in self-defense when they tried to rob him of gambling winnings. 2 were killed in one incident in St. Louis in 1919. The third came in St. Joseph, where Thompson and his hired bodyguard between them shot 2 men attempting to rob a poker game. Thompson's last killing came near a country club in Texas in 1932 when he shot a masked figure who was holding him at gunpoint. This turned out to be 16-year-old Jimmy Frederick, who had caddied for Thompson earlier that day in a winning match. The dying Frederick confirmed to witnesses that he had been trying to rob Thompson. Thompson lived out his final years in a nursing home near Dallas. Thompson was angry about going until he saw the card tables, pool table, and horseshoe court. He said, "I'll beat these geezers out of their last nickel."